But when you have a sole source procurement, the council can approve that if the supplies are of a unique nature, and it's the only practical source to get the equipment or the supplies. And SDN negotiated the deal. It is the only source you can get. It has to be the specific equipment to interact with all the other parts of the ring. If you remember from Austin, in about 3.5 years, you have your money back. Then that continues on, so it ends up being a pretty favorable investment. It's reimbursed to the city, and then there'll be some profits in the phone office over the next several years while that equipment's in use through the FERPA rings. So when you're doing that purchase, there's some specific findings that are listed in the statute, and we'll just want if the council satisfied that that is truly a sole source. We make a finding that it is the sole source for the equipment to be purchased. We'll put that in the minutes to make sure we're compliant with the statute that's shown in that email that's in your packet. So
that was actually pretty common with a lot of the engineering work that I was aware of in public broadcasting. Things needed to match up. There was a lot of single or sole source bids that had to be done. So if that determination has been made, I would offer the motion to approve that purchase under the single source rule for the fiber ring.
And there'll be some findings that'll be spread out in the minutes with respect to the reasons for the sole source. So
You first it, shot second.
Motion and second on the table to approve sole source acquisition of the FERPA hardware with addition of the language spelled out that recommends sole source procurement. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. All right, next item on the agenda. Resolution 2024-13, item 28.
So the South Dakota Municipal League sent out this resolution for us to adopt in regards to the initiative measure 28. We looked at Beresford's sales tax collection for 2023, and we collected 1.4 million. And right now we are at 840,000, and we found that our estimate to lose if this were to pass would be about $190,000. So this, we'll probably be visiting about this until the election. But there's some flyers that are starting to go around. A couple of them are on the front door of council chambers and city hall. There's also a flyer in your council packet too that gives a little bit more details. So we're just looking to adopt this resolution and support of voting no on IM 28.
That's a pretty big number for us to come up with $190,000, and I guess the clear options are obviously either to increase revenue some other way, which would be probably through your utility accounts. We're kind of limited on the property tax, what we can increase in any given year. The maximum is 3% over the previous year that you collected, or else what the CPI is, and sometimes we've had 0% at certain times. Just for instance, from last year to this year, we collected about an additional $30,000 in property tax. It's not a whole lot when you're talking losing $190,000, so it is big. Next year, the CPI is already at 3%. We don't know what our growth is yet. We should have that at any time, but it's another 3%. It's not a big number, so the numbers that we have that we get to work with basically just take care of what our extra costs are in the general fund. So to lose this will be huge. And we'll be really struggling to figure out some way to make that up. So that's what we're going to. We would love to see you guys pass this resolution, and I would assume most cities will, in order to try to combat that. So.
That 190,000, is that just food and food ingredient types of stuff, or does that include the considerations for serious tobacco, over-the-counter medication, things like that? That says,
I believe it's just
it would be.
It's just on the consumable products that they're referring to.
So that includes food plus that. Okay.
Yeah.
alcohol? Alcohol's expensive.
That alcohol's an exemption. Is this, they sent this to you? Did you do anything with this, or?
We just matched up to see the, what we collected for sales tax.
But it's just the numbers, but the other language they supplied?
Yeah.
Okay. We talked about this a few weeks ago, it came up, and I had a problem about the council taking a position on how, recommending how people vote. And maybe we can do that. I've got a problem with that, so I'm against this. Part of it, I think, is inaccurate. The very last part of it, I think, is inaccurate, where it says that this is would negatively impact our community and its residents. This 190,000 doesn't disappear. If you take the 190,000 and divide it by 2,000, that's $100 a head. That's that money that stays in the house. You can argue whether this is a good idea or not, but the money doesn't go away. I think it's unfair to say it's not good for the residents, because the residents might like $100 a head, as opposed to having us have to try to figure out how to pick up a $200,000 gap in the budget. So I think that part of it's inaccurate. When we had this discussion before, my position was, instead of recommending how people should vote, we should be very diligent in explaining what the impact should be and say, you need to decide this. And that's how I feel about this. I'm not going to vote for it because of that, not because 190, that's a big deal. It is a lot of work and it would have an impact, but I have a personal problem with that and would recommend an alternative if we feel a resolution is the way we need to go. And the resolution would cut out most of the guts of this, and I can hand out what I thought might work better, and it would basically say in the end, whereas the city of Beresford estimates the annual lost revenue of $190,000 as a result of this passage, and therefore be it resolved the city of Beresford that if initiated measure is passed by the voters, the city council would need to find other revenue to make up for the shortfall and or cut expenses accordingly. And that's my position of passing along that information, as opposed to saying, this is going to be bad for you, vote against it. I don't see that as our position in this case, even though it's a leadership board for the community. I've got a problem with that.
I just got one question. On the video lottery, which the state has goes to general fund, are they gonna make any, if you vote on this to take out the food tax, are they gonna supplement any portion of any city that loses any dollar amount, like you said? Where's the extra money gonna come from? It's probably not gonna, right?
No, I mean, we'd have to look in other places or make some hard decisions. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, but it seems like lately, no matter what we do, it's always making a decision for more money. What happens when we make the point where we got better equipment, better people, and we got our systems more efficient where we make money? Whatever happened to that? Like you said, get the money from somewhere that makes more.
Yeah, that's what we signed up for, is those decisions.
Right. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
And we can rewrite this too. I think you have a very good valid point.
That's my opinion on the function, and everyone else may feel different about that. But you know, if I would advocate that we be very diligent to show the impact of the community and convey how serious that is, without coming out and saying, no, don't vote for this. I don't think that's appropriate for the city to direct that way.
I suggest you work to help rewrite it and bring it to the next council.
I'll give you a handout and you can think about it.
You've already redone
I've already redone it.
I do have a question for maybe Tom can answer this, because the text of the bill does have language in there that doesn't affect the city's ability to collect taxes. But I also understand there's another provision of state code that says that the municipalities can't tax what the state can't tax. So there's a conflict between the two the proposed statute and the existing code. So how does that conflict resolution come out?
I think the Attorney General's opinion and the opinion of what the league has determined, municipal league, is that, you're exactly right. What it says is that the municipalities can tax what the state can tax for sales tax purposes. So, you know, the intent was to repeal the state 4.2% tax on food. And I think that just the way it was drafted has caused the concern more because the municipalities, I think the tribes, there's other impacts of that manner in which it was drafted. And they're taking a position, how can we tax it still when state law says you can't tax what the state can't tax? So,
It's kind of a mess.
It is.
It was,
And the
that's the
verbiage in
issue.
there too with the human consumption, which can be expanded way beyond food.
Yeah.
And, you know, food is one thing, but, you know, shampoo and toilet paper, and, well, I mean, where does it end? I mean, it's, I don't know.
My opinion too is when you get to the heart of what the issue is, particularly with the money that's involved that we're dealing with, a lot of this was just taking up extra ink that didn't really need to be in the resolution for, as far as the city was concerned. That's an alternative for your consideration if you want to look at that, or do this, or whatever you prefer.
I think there is some risk in the council putting themselves into a position where we're indicating how people should vote. You know, I think providing information, allowing voters to understand the potential consequences, I think it's perfect. I think in the next 90 to 120 days, there are going to be a lot of people looking for an easy button on why I should vote one way or the other, not just at the federal level, state level. So that point's well taken.
Do we need a motion to pause and reconsider for next meeting? Or just-
You could deal with, present a motion to defer to, or I guess no action is also.
I would not want to kill the discussion, but if we would defer this to the
To the next
19th,
meeting?
yeah,
Yeah.
and take a closer look at it, and I can examine my feelings by then.
You need a second on that? Second.
I think that was a motion to
Yeah,
defer to the
to
next
defer.
meeting.
Second. Thank you for your.
Motion and second to defer until the second meeting of this month. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? So we will defer until the second meeting in August 2024. The resolution on the item.
Okay, I think there's one more copy there for you, Gary. Yeah.
Here you go. I think.
I do have, yeah, I got one today.
Okay.
Solid.
Okay.
That package distributed from the public.
All right, so that was our first item on new business. We'll now talk through the MRES electrical rate study proposal.
Yeah, I had to ask Mike, we were talking, we've absorbed a lot of increases in the rates from Missouri River and Wappa, which are both proposing additional rate increases in the next few years. So we think it's time that we should sit down, have them take a look to see where we are, and have some recommendations from our power supplier. They've done this in the past. The last time we did one was 2016, I believe. We completed one. And then 2020, we did another one. The council has not taken any action on any of them, so we have not done anything with our electric rates since 2017 is when the last time we did any increases in rates. Obviously, we're not in favor of increasing rates, but we have to take a look at what our costs are going to be moving forward to stay ahead of the game. I was here when we had to increase rates about 18%. That was not a fun day. We had a lot of complaints, a lot of people were really upset. I would rather see small rate increases than going out there and giving a big rate increase. So if it's needed, these guys can tell us that, they know what we're using, they're the ones that direct all the electricity from Wappa and the Missouri River. They know what we're charging now, they can make recommendations either on the residential, could be one size, then you're gonna have your general business is another one, then your large users would be another one. So if the large users should be paying more, or one of those categories aren't paying their fair share, they can tell us that. So we distribute so everyone's contributing equally to make this thing work. So that's what they would look at. We've done, I don't know, probably 5 or 6 of them since I've been here. And we've used some of their recommendations. You don't have to use them, but we have something that's been done professionally. These guys do it every day. They help all, I think they have, how many members do they have? 60 some members now that they use, both in North Dakota, Minnesota, Iowa, and South Dakota. So they're well informed with this stuff. And they do pay for half the cost. It's $20,000. They'll take care of $10,000 of that cost. If we want to move forward with it, they'd start late this fall, probably have some recommendations next year for us. They'll come in and do a complete presentation for you so you can understand where we're at moving forward. But without that, we really don't know exactly what we need to be charging. We can all look at the end of the year, kind of where we're at, and each year I have a pretty good year. We're losing one of our big users. We know that. Will there be someone else that comes in and takes their place? Possibly. We don't know for sure. So they weigh all that kind of stuff and let you kind of see where we're at and go from there. So I guess Mike and I would recommend that we move forward with it. If you guys want to discuss it further, we sure can. But to get on their schedule is what we want to move to at this time. And then if you guys are good with it, we'll look at the results next year sometime. And then you can make a decision what you want to do.
Being on Mike's committee for the electric department, he's been showing me some of these projections for the last few years. And definitely need to take small bites out of this now instead of hit everybody with one big one. I've been saying that the last couple of years. If you've been on council, you've heard me say that. Small bites is better than one big chunk that kicks everybody in the butt. But it's coming, so I think it's necessary.
When was the last time we had a study done?
I think we 2020 went back and checked.
Is that normally like every 3 to 4 or 5 years?
Yeah, probably every 4 or 5 years is what we try to anyhow. Well, the cost per year is about $2,000 if you average it out over 5-year periods.
Need a motion?
Yeah. I'll make a motion to procure, or what are we doing? Authorizing the monies to take part in this feasibility study to raise utility rates.
Not necessarily the rates, just a rate study.
Rate study, rate study.
I'll second the study.
Rewind the camera.
Right, motion, second? Yes, motion is second on the table to authorize the Missouri River Exit Service electric rate survey. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Alright, we will authorize the study. Next item on the agenda, again, library, is an appointment to the library board. Sounds like Ashley Halverson's interested in continuing service.
Correct.
3-year, 10 years? That's 3 years.
They can do 2 3-year terms, our bylaws say, so this,
Okay. For
she
second.
was kind of done in June, or it
Yeah.
was up, but yeah, this would be her second term.
Fantastic.
And I do have one more person that has resigned, but I'm working on some possible replacements. I'd like to talk to you about that sometime.
Awesome.
So would it be June of 2027, her term? Is that 3 years? Okay.
Correct.
Motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve Ashley Halverson for the 3 years on the library board.
Second.
Motion is second to approve Ashley Halverson and an appointment to the library board for a 3-year term, second term. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Congratulations, Ashley. South Dakota Highway 46 expansion, need to move electric facilities along East 13th and South Dakota Highway 46.
I think you guys have all seen there's quite a bit of activity going on 46, from the edge of Beresford all the way to the eventually over to the Hayward line there, so you could see the river. We were kind of shocked a little bit, I guess, recently by the South Dakota Department of Transportation came and told us we had to move our power lines. They were never in their original set of plans. No one had ever contacted us about moving these. I guess we just figured that anything was going to happen was going to be further east of us. They never asked about anything, so they kind of sprung this on us and said that all those power lines that we have, and if you kind of look at your maps there, they're going to be like by the out by Eastway, out in that area. Nobody knows there's got some apartments out in that area. All those lines we're going to have to move. We're going to have a bearing the ones that there's a few pictures there all the way from we've got a trailer park on the south east 13th Street. That's where we're going to vary from, all the way there, all the way north up to what road do we call it?
It's crossing the Eldorado.
Yeah, you know where Neil Barat's building is, yeah. So we'd bury all them. We'd put in another big box, which is one of the switch boxes. And that's that green picture that you see at the back. They're about, I can't remember exactly the cost on all these things, but it's going to be quite a bit of cost. Initially, he told me this is have to be done in like the next month and a half. Now today he told me it sounds like we got more time to work on it. So, but it was going to be some costs that obviously to get it engineered and some of those kind of things. There's no way that we could do it that fast and go through the whole process. So we're trying to bite off little pieces of it as we could. Maybe hire a contractor to just do all the boring for us. There's 1,400 feet of boring that would have to be done. That would take our guys quite a bit of time to try to do that. So we thought we could bring in a boring contractor to do that. And then of course purchasing the switch gear. We have one on hand, and that's like $30,000 for that one box. So, but we'd have to replace that. So when you start putting all these costs together, we come up well over the $100,000. So that's where we're trying to stay within our bid limits, but then follow all the rules. And that's where Tom kind of we were trying to figure out how we're going to do this on such short-term notice. And I think they backed off a little bit now as far as when we have to have it done by. So they're moving some of their project a little bit further to the east and giving us a little more time to kind of work around that. So you can see the mess that's out there right now and what they've done. And you can see where all of our poles are sitting. All those poles that I've kind of shown you in the pictures are going to be gone. They're going to all be underground at that point in time. The good part of it is we're going to upgrade our system a little bit. For that part, it's going to cost us $150,000 to $200,000 over time. So
is there any
it's not
plan on this?
We're going to try to
giving us any notice.
Well, one of the things is if it's in the public right of way, South Dakota's got the easements out there, then we are on hook for moving all of our stuff. If we have easements on somebody else's property, then the state may assist us with moving those. So we've been doing some research in Canton. We don't know all of the who has easements in place, but maybe we're still going to work on that. We're going to try to work with the state to try to get them to agree to pay for a portion of some of these costs to move in, because it's a big chunk. It's a big chunk that we have to take all at one time for something that's working perfectly fine.
Especially since they didn't give us any heads up before they started the project.
Well, they ended up expanding that intersection, I call it the old AMC. They enlarged that to the, I guess, to the east.
Yeah.
They kind of arched that around, so that was part of the problem. As Jerry said, these lines have been there for, I don't know, 80 years, 100 years, and we aren't sure they're in the right of way or not. So I think one of Mike's thoughts was to have a surveyor come in to determine exactly if they're in the state right of way or if they're actually on private property. Some we know are on private property. If we don't have easements, we're going to get easements in place. Historically, the city didn't always get easements. There's a lot of lines around town that are sitting on private property.
Is that within the city limits there, that side of the road?
It's in our service territory. AMC's in the city limits, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
And Woody's apartment is too.
And Woody's apartment is.
Our service area goes all the way past the Legends of Gold out there.
City limits the center of the road probably though?
What's that?
City limit the center of the road?
No, well, what is it? It's AMC and Woody's.
Mm-hmm.
To the east end of their properties. Are in the
Correct.
city limit.
No transfer down.
I was just curious.
Part of 46.
You know,
is
yeah,
in-
we,
yes.
you know, just because it's in public right of way doesn't necessarily mean that the DOT has the right to have you move all your stuff. If you're within DOT right of way, yeah, but.
It's in the DOT right away, is what they're saying. In the dedicated Highway 46, it's probably an H lot or something.
Usually they don't extend that far back on side streets generally. But
Well, some of this is clearly outside, but
Okay.
as he's doing this project, he said it's really the only feasible way to do it,
Okay.
is you gotta go
I saw all the
beyond
holes going 800 feet back, and it's like, that's nowhere near the highway.
No,
I don't see how that's.
but he said if you're gonna put the switch gear in, it really makes no sense not to continue with it.
Make it a little more sense.
Going south about, how many, 800 feet?
Yeah.
That
It's
was,
1,400 total, I think, feet
yeah,
they're looking to do.
it'll be buried. And then they do have a Highway 46 crossing goes down along Woody's apartments to the east and then goes across 46 to go out and serve Legends. So we have to bore into that.
Yeah.
Sweeble's property is where it's sitting now. They've got some property on either side of the Legends driveway, so.
We get more options on, like you said, do they have low, we can get low interest, like 1% on, because they're forcing us to do it? Or is there any grant money, or like you said, get the easements on the private property, you don't have to move it?
It's gonna be an advantage for them too, because they have to lose equipment sitting there, so. We've talked to Woody and working on the Bloomer family. It's got property going to the south, in communication with them about getting easements that would satisfy the city. But Mike wants to make sure we're identifying that actually in the
Their area,
the street or the highway right away. So the DOT.
That's a lot of work.
It's gonna be close, is what he's, when they eyeball it, it's like,
Yeah.
we don't know if it's,
Close.
it's gonna be very close, but if it's outside their right of way, then, and they make you move it, then it's on them.
So what's the time limit now? You're not sure?
Mike said sometime next year, not early next spring.
Yeah, they were talking, he needed to have it done by October when they first
Right,
talked to him,
right.
but they understand it's gonna take longer.
We just need to get the cable and stuff, we ordered that. We have to order that, and that might be, we're pushing it to get it in 2 to 3 months.
Yeah.
So
And he's working with Dennis at DGR to get this engineered, so
we're trying to,
that's who I think this is gonna have him do the surveying.
Brookings was gonna help us with some of the power, the power of the lines. We buy it from them, and then we have to reimburse them.
Cause they have
it on hand.
conduit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
We don't need no motion, right? Just discussion.
No, it's just an informational item, but it was a surprise to Mike and not in his budget, and so he may be coming back to you with
More.
the need to spend some money to get this done, so. But he wanted to be aware of it, he couldn't be here tonight, so.
All right, next item on the agenda, request from Sucor to allow the consumption of alcohol for a company picnic at the Lions Club shelter in Beulah Park from August 8th, 3 p.m. to 9 p.m.
So Sioux Corp usually has an annual picnic in the, at the Lions Shelter. And in the past that they have requested to consume malt beverages while they're having their annual picnic. And so they requested again this year if they could do that.
We've never had any problems that we're aware of, so.
So we need an open container on public property.
In the park.
I would make that motion.
Shot second.
Motion and second on the table to allow Sioux Corporation to consume alcohol at the Lions Shelter in Beulah Park on August 8th from 3 to 9 p.m. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Sioux Metro Growth Alliance membership.
Yeah, I put some information from Kyla that we had talked about this a while back, and I've been out by the Development Corporation Board. And we all thought it would be a good idea to try to get something involved, at least on the basic level with Sioux Metro Growth Alliance and see how it goes next year. We got a cost, annual cost of $6,600. This year they'll just grandfather us for the rest of the year. The next year we could budget for the $6,600 if we want to move forward with that. I think it's a good option. We were with Lincoln County Economic Development Association for quite a few years. We got out of that there for about, we've been out since like 2012, I guess, somewhere in that area. And they work, they're good to work with. They assist and with any type of prospects that we might have, postings, things like that. And it's just somebody else that we can bounce a few ideas off. They'll attend our development corporation meetings, things like that. So I think it's good moving forward. I don't think we can go wrong. It's not a big amount of money for what we can probably get out of them. So, and we don't have it. The development corporation doesn't really have a lot of revenue coming in. So this would be something that would probably be budgeted through the city council budget. That's how we pay it every year. So it'd be a general fund type thing in order for us to join the Sioux Metro Growth Alliance. So I think if you have a chance to look, there's a lot of cities around us that are doing that, and I think that what their belief is that kind of, everyone's here. If Beresford gets the project, or Lennox gets the project, or Canton gets the project, it helps the whole group in some way, shape, or form. So all those people won't live in Canton, they won't live in Lennox, they might move to Beresford, and they move back and forth. Whatever it is, it helps the whole area. So that's kind of what Tyler's talking about there. They've actually expanded their workforce up there. I think they've got about 8 people that are working there now. So when Jeff was there, he was the only one. So they really expanded it, and they've also brought in a lot more communities that they work with. So I don't think it would hurt us. So if you guys are okay with that, I'm asking for a motion to go ahead and move forward with that, and then we'll start paying their dues next year when we finish up our budget. We'll include that number in there.
What do you think? What do you think? Shall make a motion for Sioux Metro Growth Alliance membership. As Jerry Simon stated, that this year is grandfathered in. 6,000 starts from next year, more or less, to check out and see how it works out.
6,600.
So 6,600, and that the money would somehow come from the general fund.
We budgeted the general fund.
What budget the general fund for it?
A second.
Motion on the table and a second to authorize a partnership with Sioux Metro Growth Alliance at 6,600 and future budget from general fund. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? All right, last item, new business, pay request number 5 for site work for wastewater treatment facility.
I think the total this time is $1,257,497.38. So they're moving along pretty good since the last meeting, but it has been 3 weeks since our last meeting also. So if you guys probably can't really see a whole lot that goes on up there unless you want to drive up and take a look, but they are moving a lot of stuff. There's a lot of the product that's coming in. The system is pretty much there, so that's what we're paying for. They are probably a little bit ahead of schedule now, so by the end of this year we should see, I don't know if they'll use it or not, but they're hoping everything should be completed by then. So.
Shall I make a motion to pay request number 5 from Site Works for new WWTF, as Jerry Simon stated on the amount.
Second.
Motion and a second on the table to authorize payment number 5 to Site Works for wastewater treatment facility in the amount of $1,257,497.38. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. We can pay Site Works. Discussion and information items. None. Approval of travel request. South Dakota Library Association, just left the South Dakota Library Association, September 25th through 27th in Aberdeen.
Make a motion to approve the request.
Or will we consider one request at a time, both?
You do.
Okay. So, I'm sorry, Pat.
Go ahead.
So South Dakota Library Association, Norling, and then South Dakota Telephone Association Annual Conference, Deadwood, August 18th, 20th.
Motion to approve the travel request.
Motion on the table to approve travel request.
Shot second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Make a motion that we pay the bill. Second.
Motion second to pay the bills. All those in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? Hearing no further discussion with the council?
One last thing.
Nope.
I'd like to recognize Attorney Freeberg, wish him a happy birthday.
You're close to Medicare.
That would have been under old business.
Yes.
Old business. Let the record reflect that Tom Freeberg's birthday has been approved, so.
Okay.
All right, insurance.
Jay Morris.
Yeah.